USA Climbing encourages all judges, coaches, and competitors to read the USA Climbing Rulebook. Some rules have been abbreviated or edited for the purposes of clarity regarding specific topics in this video. On-site. Competitors attempt the problem without having watched any other competitor's attempt of the problem. Competitors enter an isolation area prior to the event and are brought out one at a time to climb. Receipt of any information concerning a problem prior to or during the attempt on the problem is grounds for disqualification. Competitors are free, however, to discuss a problem with other competitors in isolation who have not previously climbed or attempted the problem. Competition rules. Only designated holds and features are permitted for climbing each problem. For the purposes of competition climbing, a hold shall be defined as any object or area of the climbing wall that may be used for climbing. For the purposes of scoring, a handhold shall be defined as any object, portion of an object, or area of the climbing wall that is both used for climbing and defined as a scored hold in a problem identified on the route map. Each problem shall have a clearly marked starting position, which shall consist of marked holds for one or both hands. The demarcations used to mark the starting and finishing position shall either be taped boxes placed around one or more holds. A single taped box shall define one marked starting hold, whether it is placed around one or more holds. Taped flashes placed on the wall touching a hold. Prior to an attempt, a competitor may only touch the marked starting holds with their hands. If they touch any other holds with their hands, they will be charged with an attempt. Note: touching a foothold with a foot prior to beginning an attempt will not result in the competitor being charged with an attempt. A competitor must first control the marked holds before using their hands for climbing on any other holds, but they may use any holds with other points of contact to assist in establishing control of the marked holds. Establishing control of the marked holds of a problem shall be defined accordingly. If there is one marked hold, the competitor must begin with one or more hands controlling that hold. If there are two separately marked holds, the competitor must begin with each hand controlling each marked hold simultaneously. Each competitor's attempt shall be deemed to have started when any part of the competitor's body has touched the climbing wall and every part of the competitor's body has left the ground. A competitor shall be permitted to jump to the starting holds but must control the starting holds before moving their hands to any other holds. Each problem shall have a clearly marked finish, which shall be either one or two finish holds, or a standing position on top of the boulder. A competitor may request and receive clarification from the judge concerning usability of a hold or climbing surface. Each attempt of a problem shall be noted on the competitor's scorecard. A competitor's attempt on a problem shall be stopped, and the highest controlled hold, as determined by the judge, shall be scored if they exceed the permitted time on the problem, touch any part of the wall surface beyond the marked boundaries of the problem, touch the ground with any part of their body, use any artificial aid, or compromises either their own or another competitor's safety. The refusal by a competitor to obey the instructions of a judge to terminate their attempt on a route shall result in the disqualification of the competitor. Competitors may not receive coaching or advice from any individual while attempting a problem. Encouragement and cheering are acceptable, but coaching is not. When competing in an on-site competition that has no official problem preview, receipt of any information concerning a problem prior to or during the attempt on the problem is ground for immediate disqualification of the competitor. Coaches, spectators, or parents are not permitted to have a discussion or contact with the judge. Any such action may be grounds for disqualification of the competitor. Competitors and/or judges may brush holds that can be reached from the ground. If available, pole brushes may be used. The entire surface of the climbing wall shall be permitted to be used for climbing with the following exceptions. The T-nut holes created in the climbing wall, including those in a modular volume for the placement of bolt-on holds, shall not be used for climbing by a competitor's hands or fingers. Neither the side edges nor the bottom or top edge of the wall shall be used for climbing unless specifically designated as part of the problem. If there is a need to demarcate an area on the wall, handholds, or features which are out of bounds, the demarcation shall be made using a continuous and clearly identifiable marking of the following colors. Demarcation of any area of the climbing wall, including the climbing wall surface and any modular holds or volumes, that is out of bounds and shall not be touched by the competitor, shall be identified with black tape. Note: in addition to the area on the other side of the black tape being off limits, the black tape itself shall not be touched. Demarcation of climbing wall surfaces that may not be used by a competitor with their hands, but may be used by the feet or other points of contact, shall be identified with red tape. Note: a competitor may use climbing wall surfaces only, but may not use any modular holds or volumes. Competitors may not use earphones, headsets, or similar devices while climbing. Laser pointers are prohibited from use at all times in the competition field of play, but may be used in the isolation warm-up area. All competitors and coaches are expected to exhibit respectful and appropriate behavior to other competitors, event officials, and staff, volunteers, and host facility personnel. Technical incidents. A technical incident is defined as any occurrence that results in a disadvantage or unfair advantage to a competitor, which is not the result of an action on the part of the competitor. Examples of technical incidents are a broken or spinning hold, tape stuck to a shoe, an open wound, a failure of the timing system. It is the competitor's responsibility to ensure that their clothing, chalk bag, and any other equipment are properly secured. There shall be no grounds for a technical if any of these items impede the competitor. There shall be no grounds for a medical technical other than an open wound. The judge makes the confirmation or non-confirmation of a technical incident. If necessary, they may consult with the chief route setter and/or chief judge. Termination of an attempt on a problem. The attempt of a competitor on a problem shall be considered terminated if they fall, exceed the permitted time for the problem. Time. Make use for climbing any part of the wall, handholds, or features which have been demarcated against use for climbing. Make use for climbing with their hands of holes provided in the climbing wall and/or modular volume for the placement of bolt-on handholds. Make use of the side edges or top edges of the wall for climbing, unless the edge is specifically identified as part of the problem. Return to the ground with any part of the body after having started the attempt. Uses any artificial aid. In the case of infractions related to the preceding rules B through I, the judge shall instruct the competitor to stop climbing. Scoring. Handholds shall be considered controlled when a competitor has made use of the handhold either while in or to achieve a stable or controlled position that in general will be evidenced by holding a handhold for 2 seconds or more, or controlling the momentum of a climbing movement. Prior to the start of each round, the chief route setter shall prepare a route map for use by the judge, indicating the scored handhold sequence of the problem and which holds on the problem are scored. On the route map, a single marked starting handhold shall be marked with a 1, 2 to demarcate a score for both hands. If there are 2 marked starting handholds, they shall be marked with a 1 and 2 respectively, with the lower of the 2 handholds marked as 1. Each consecutive handhold in a problem shall be scored with the next highest number in progression, according to what is determined by the chief route setter to be the most likely sequence of climbing the problem. For boulder problems, a single finish handhold shall be marked with 2 scored numbers, defining a matched finish. For example, 8, 9. If 2 individual handholds are marked as the finish handholds, then they shall be marked as a bridge, with 2 consecutive numbered scores. For example, an 8 and 9 linked on the route map with a line written 8, 9. In bouldering, a competitor must demonstrate a controlled match of the single finish handhold or control both of 2 marked handholds with each hand. For all bouldering competition formats, the competitor must control and match hands on the finish handholds of a boulder problem to receive points for completion of that problem. The competitor should establish contact with the judge so that the judge may verify control of the finish handholds. Only handholds controlled by the hands shall be scored. The following is a summary of the scoring considerations from the guidelines for route setting and scoring. On a matched hold, the competitor must match both hands on the hold to receive the higher point value. The climber shall receive the first numbered score of the bridge once one hand controls either of the handholds that are marked as part of a bridge, and the second numbered score of the bridge once the other hand controls the other handhold, regardless of the order. The competitor only receives the higher numbered score of the bridge when both handholds are controlled simultaneously, with both hands. A handhold may be scored as a contingent hold, meaning that the competitor may only receive the score for that handhold if they have already controlled the handhold that its score is contingent upon. A hold may be a single object with multiple scored handholds. A competitor shall be scored on each problem. Upon the completion of their attempts of a problem, the judge shall inform the competitor as to which point on the problem they were scored. If the competitor does not agree with the score, they may file an appeal with the chief judge. Climbing procedure. The fixed length of the climbing period shall be from 3 to 6 minutes per problem for each round. The specific amount of climbing time allowed for each round shall be announced prior to the start of the round. At the discretion of the chief judge, for the final round only, they may opt to not impose a specific climbing time limit.